Hello. Welcome back to another episode with me in my garden. Okay, so guys, I want to talk to you about lemongrass today. I am going to say, excuse me, I do have some notes in front of me, but I really hate notes. I really like just winging it, and by winging it, I don't mean giving you fruitless information. I mean just not being so, because I just want to be like, free and stuff. So I'll occasionally look down at the notes when I forget what I want to say, but really, I kind of remember what I want to say. So lemongrass. The reason why I want to do this episode is really just because in South Africa, we've got citronella grass and then we've got lemongrass. And oftentimes people are sold citronella grass and they're told that it's lemongrass. And you can't really use lemongrass in the same way as you use citronella grass. If you do know of the difference, they're actually very different. They're in the same family, but so is sugarcane. So, you're not going to substitute lemongrass for, like, in your coffee, if you want to have sugar. So, yeah. So let's just talk about lemongrass quickly, about the history. So lemongrass comes from Southeast Asia. It is a maritime species, so basically that means that it grows in coastal regions. It's also found in India, Sri Lanka, and most of the archipelagos in and around Southeast Asia. Today, however, it has spread all over the world. So you find it in Africa, you'll find it in South Africa, you'll find it in the Americas. You'll pretty much find it everywhere, within reason. If it's outside of its growing range, then obviously you'll get the already prepared product, which you'll find in stores for your Thai curries and Thai foods, and sort of and if there are any Asian people or Thai people watching this, I thank you so much for your culture, because I think it's so fantastic and I love Thai food. Thank you so much, because you made my life by introducing me to Thai food. So, yeah, anyways. Lemongrass, the word Cymbopogon, which is the genus name, which is the botanical name for lemongrass. It is Greek in origin, and if I break it up, apparently it goes as follows. Cymbu, meaning boat, and pogon, meaning beard. So it literally means boat beard, and that's in reference to the flowers. So, thank goodness Latin is dead. No? No, I'm lying. I really like Latin, actually. I prefer that. I'm glad they use that for plants, because it's fantastic. Right, okay, so the history is done. Now, let's move on to uses of lemongrass. Now, for the uses of lemongrass, I'm going to take you outside and show you lemongrass. But before we do that, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what lemongrass gets used for. Personally, I use it to make tea. All kinds of teas. I call it garden tea. So I make like this garden tea from a lot of the South African herbs, and I kind of add lemongrass to that. And sometimes I just have lemongrass on its own. And especially if I've had like a really hard day, then, excuse me, then I would generally take some lemongrass and sip on that to just help me relax. It also gets used in Ayurvedic medicine in India, and for exactly that reason. It's got this very sort of calming, sedative-like effect, which is fantastic. And it's also got that citronella flavor, not citronella, citrusy flavor to it, which is really fantastic. It's also used in Thai food. It's used in soaps, beverages, cleaning detergents, anything that is lemongrass flavored. I mean, well, there you go, and then you can also find it in, you can even brush your teeth with it. If you take the little stalk and you crush the edge of the stalk, you can kind of brush your teeth with it in the way that the Bushmen did in South Africa. Like when I was a scout, we used to actually make little toothbrushes with them. Perhaps I'll show you some uses of lemongrass in another episode. Then also there is what else is there? Let me actually just see. Yeah, okay, and then also the methods in which you can use it. So you could take it, you can use the leaves, you can use the stalk, and you can powder it, you can dry it, or you can use it fresh. I prefer fresh, and I prefer the stalks as well, all crushed or chopped up with onions and chilies and coconut milk and coconut cream, and so good. But yeah, and in terms of storage, if you're going to take lemongrass, you can store it in the fridge, wrap it up loosely, okay, just very loosely in your vegetable drawer, and it will actually happily last for what, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Um, yeah, it's a very, very versatile, very simple herb to use. And now we're going outside to talk about the morphology, okay? Morphology refers to the way the plant is put together, how it grows, what it looks like in that respect. And then we'll move on to growth, care, and culture, okay? This is lemongrass. So here I've got loads of different types of lemongrass, or not different types of lemongrass. I've got two different varieties of Cymbopogon. One being Citronella grass, which I'll cover in another episode, but this here is lemongrass. And so this is the plant that is from Southeast Asia. Let me just shift this bucket out of the way, and I will show you what it looks like. Right, so there you can see we are in the dead of winter, well, nearly in the dead of winter now, and you can see that the leaf tips are just starting to brown. This plant is extremely useful in the kitchen, especially when it comes to cooking Thai and Asian type foods, and also in Ayurvedic medicine. So in terms of its morphology, the plant is considered a tufted grass. It is a grass of tropical origin, so you will never see this grass flower outside of the tropics. It hasn't ever flowered in cultivation, according to one study I read. Yeah. So if you do ever get this grass to flower and you live outside of the tropics, please hit me up, because I would love to know how you did that. I have tried, but also with no success. So basically, in terms of use, if I want to take if I want to use some of this, then this is how I do that. So you could either use a gardening fork or, a hand trowel or something like that. And you basically just go in at the bottom. You just take that piece of bark out of the way, and then you will just grab some and you just pull it out, and then that's it. So let's go to the kitchen and see how this works. So we're in the kitchen. With respect to this lemongrass and me using this, making a tea from this, I'm not going to show you how to make the tea today, but I will show you how to prepare the lemongrass for kitchen use. So basically that's it. These are the little pieces that I've now got. So I'm just going to clean them up, okay? And then we can show you how they can be used. So now we've got lemongrass, which has been cleaned. Let me just try that. It's been cleaned and cut. Okay, so this is how you would use it for propagation. So if I want to propagate this, I'm literally just going to grab a glass. Whoops. And I'm just going to stick this straight into the glass. Whoops. Looking through my camera lens. And then I'm going to top it up to about 2.5 centimeters of water, and I'll stick it by the windowsill where it will get lots of full sun, or well, lots of sunlight. If I want to cook this, right, then all I'm going to do is let me use this piece because it's got a singular stem. Okay, so I don't mind using this part. So literally all I'm going to do on the one end here, I'm going to cut there, so lower, right? And then this side here, I'm just going to cut right there. And then these leaves, extra leaves will come off, and that will go to the garden. And then here, you've basically got some lemongrass. Let me just see if I can zoom in. You've basically got that beautiful layered effect that I was telling you about. And also that white section, if you peel everything else around and you leave that white section, you can actually cook that as a vegetable too. So this can go into your kettle, and you can just boil water in the kettle and stick this entire stick into it, and it will turn it to lemongrass. Alternative to that is if you've got a pestle and mortar, which I do here. Let me just grab that. Well, the pestle or the mortar, don't remember which one is which. I always get confused. But basically, I'm not going to do this now, but you basically crush the length of it all the way down. And then once you've done that, you're just going to use a very sharp knife and chop it up as though you were going to chop up garlic or ginger or something really finely. And then that you can mix with your shallots, your chilies, coconut milk, and all of that sort of good stuff, and you can make some food from that. So yeah, that is how to use lemongrass in the kitchen. You can actually see the water that's just come out of the leaf blades on the side. So I hope this was useful from a culinary standpoint. And then if you want to store them in the fridge, you basically cut them like this, okay? Or you could leave them like this, which would probably be better, and you wrap them up loosely, and you put them into the vegetable drawer of your fridge, and they should last a good two weeks, and you'd still be able to use them. Okay, now let's go show you how to actually manage the plant outside. Okay, and what you can actually use its leaf mass for. Right. Oh, one more thing. Actually, this little part that's left over, this, do not be fooled. This is waiting to become a new plant. So if you put this into a very shallow, you put it into the pot just like up to about there, so that this pot's still exposed, right? And you keep it in dappled light, and you just give it water. It will develop, and once it develops, you put it out into direct sunlight, and then that will be a new plant. So when you're harvesting from the garden itself, you don't need to do this whole procedure. You can literally take your secateurs and you cut it off there, and then all of these little new shoots that you see coming off the side here will still they'll redevelop into new lemongrass plants. Okay, done. Let's go outside. So now that we've been to the kitchen, I want to show you how to actually care for this plant. So in terms of its, remember I said it's a summer growing grass. So in terms of its cultivation, it needs a free draining soil with a very rich soil, because the richer it is, the better quality lemongrass you'll obviously get. And also, you'll notice that it doesn't allow any other plants growing near it. So word on the street is it is allelopathic, which means it doesn't allow any plants to grow close to it. It's very good when you are dealing with other invasive grasses and things like that, or things coming into your beds, and you actually just want that out. So then you just plant them. I at the nursery, I use them as a hedge. But at home I let them grow like this. And then with respect to caring for the plant, all you need to do is literally, I will show you, take a very good look at this, because this is just I'm by myself, so I'm going to cut this and I'm going to show you how to cut it. So essentially, if this is the one plant, you're going to gather all the leaves together like a ponytail, okay? And then if I use the piece one of the pieces we broke off, which is like this, then all you need to do is you cut it. You see where the notch is right there? So that's where the leaves flare out from the swollen stem. So this swollen stem is basically how the plant grows. So it has this slightly swollen stem, which is very layered like an onion. And like some people with really good personalities or really crappy personalities, very layered individuals, you basically, I would go at least up to about there, and you cut that off. So the same thing applies with when the plant is actually in the ground and you're outside of the growing season. You're literally just going to ponytail the plant up and you're going to cut all of this off. So I'm going to show you just how to do that right now. So this is once I've sort of gathered all of the grass together, I've ponytailed it, and then I'm just going to cut. And so where I'm going to cut is below my hand. Okay, so let's just do that. And essentially what you end up with is that. So this is all of the lemongrass, the leaves that I've cut off now. These leaves you can actually use them in for tea. You can use them to cook with. Just see if I can, I don't know, get that nice and clear for you. There we go. Very beautiful. Oh, I can smell it. It just smells fantastic. So you can use this and you can dry these and then you put them in an airtight container, and you can actually make tea from this. You can also use the stalks as we've showed you in the kitchen. So essentially this stuff is very rich in nitrogen, and you can use this, chop it up, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. I basically just use my regular secateurs that are lying on the ground there, and I'll just cut this up and scatter it or confetti it over my vegetable garden or wherever it is that you actually want to put it. So remember I said to you that you can cut up all the little bits. So this is basically the lemongrass confetti I'm talking about. So I just sort of confettied this in between my carrots and also the garlic and onions that I just started growing right now. So yeah, that is how to just add some nitrogen rich compost. And the nice thing about this is that it doesn't have any seeds, so you obviously won't have any rogue seedlings and things coming up in between your vegetables and or your plants in general. So this is a really good way of actually getting that to be used up in a good way. So yeah, remember lemongrass needs a very nutrient or nitrogen rich fertilizer at the start of the growing season. So if you want to split the plant and you want to make more of these, then all you need to do is you literally take one piece out like that. Oops, sorry, I just shook the camera there. And then you clean up all these brown leaves. You take these off like so. And then whether it has roots or not, if it does have roots, you can stick it straight into the soil. If it does not have roots and you're a bit worried about whether you're going to be successful at growing this or not, then stick it into a glass of water about an inch or so deep, about there, about 2.5 centimeters. And then you stick that into the ground, into the glass of water. You change the water regularly until you see roots. Position the plant in a very bright space so it develops. And so you can see I've actually cut, I haven't fully cut this to the length that it should be at. And the reason why we cut it when you're making cuttings is because the plant will suffer water loss, and you don't want that. So you actually want the plant to have as little leaves as possible so it can conserve and use the energy for root development and in the hopes of becoming a brand new plant. So this is the one plant that I've cut, and that is it when it is not cut yet. So I need to do this in winter or the sleeping season while the plant is still asleep. And then as soon as spring hits, you will be good to go, and you'll see the plant will actually start to redevelop. And then this clump here, you want to actually split the clump. So every, I'd say about 2 years, you can split the clump. And once you've split the clump, this clump, I think you could probably you could either do each individual stalk, or you could do 3 stalks together to form new well-established young plants. And yeah, that's lemongrass. What else is there? So lemongrass is obviously edible. The way I use it is like I showed you in the kitchen, but also Ayurvedic medicine and the likes. So really good for relaxing. You can mix it with catnip. I generally take some lemongrass and catnip and actually make a tea from that and drink that. That's really nice. It also tastes very good. And then also it loves full sun. So just remember that it is a full sun plant. This plant is growing in full, absolute full summer sun. It just wants regular watering, but doesn't want its roots to be standing in water. Okay, so you'll also notice that there is a powder along the bottom of the plant on the stalks. Let me just see if I can show you the powder. You see that powder right there? So if I take my finger and I just rub that, you can see the powder actually comes off on my finger, right? So that is not a disease. It's part of the plant's morphology. It is the way the plant grows. So don't be concerned or worried that you're thinking your plant is damaged or it's sick or anything like that. That's just natural. So guys, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. If you've got more questions about it, please hit us up. And if you really like lemongrass, like I do, then enjoy growing it in your garden. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.